Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Shayna, and I am the managing director here at Host Agency Reviews. If any of you were here with us last week, we are hoping to make it through the entire webinar without losing our speaker 20 minutes in so that you don't have to listen to me anymore. But we know that's not going to happen. So I do want to welcome our next speaker and webinar host from the amazing Wanderlust campus. I want to welcome Ryan, the Learning and Development Manager. So thank you so much for joining us, Ryan.
Of course, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, good. We're so happy to have you. So very quickly in this webinar today, Ryan is going to focus on the 6 keys to setting up a highly profitable travel business. So in this session, Ryan will be sharing how to propel your business beyond the hobby phase, build profitable foundations, scale your business, think like a top producing travel professional, and some additional things that she has incorporated to help that her and Cyndi have helped to help their clients reach massive success in the travel industry. As a reminder, please feel free to post your questions and comments into the comment section. Abby, you all know Abby, will be in there hanging out with you to make sure that we catch as many of your questions as possible. And if there's some time at the end, I will jump back in with Ryan to answer as many of your questions as we can get through. We do love comments too, so please feel free to share any comments. If there's something you're excited about that Ryan mentions, please feel free to share that in the comments with your fellow travel advisors and with everybody else that is attending today. So without further ado, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to let Ryan take over and have a wonderful, wonderful webinar. I will be back later.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, today we are going to go over the 6 keys to setting up a highly profitable travel business. And so before we get started, a little bit about me. I am the Learning and Development Manager for Wanderlust campus. So I upkeep and develop new education for Careers on Vacation, which is kind of like our flagship program, and our other Wanderlust campus programs. We're industry leaders in travel agent education, consulting, and certifying travel professionals. I personally have my master's in social work. So I actually have a history of being a therapist, which comes in handy. We do a lot of mindset portion over on campus, and so that comes in handy. But I also got led into education and leadership and new program development. So that's kind of my specialty. And I've been very lucky to be working here where I can combine my love of travel and education and training and really merge those things together. I'm also a big Disney fan. I actually live just 10 minutes from Walt Disney World. That is not on accident. And I can actually see the fireworks from my house. And then I also am a big musical theater fan. So for anybody who loves the musical theater, it's actually how I met my husband, was doing a show together. So let me know if you enjoy musicals. But before we get started, I would love to ask, oh, hold on. I know my screen has been having some difficulties sharing. We'll keep it going.
All right. I will bring it back.
There we go. Okay. So my first question to you guys is, how many of you have realized that the travel industry is a lot more complicated than maybe you originally thought? And if so, you are not alone. On the surface, it really looks like booking trips and it's like just booking that trip and sending them on their way, right? And I see some people commenting that they love musical theater, and I love that. So it looks like a really easy job, right? You're like, I can plan travel for myself. It should be really easy. But once you're in it, as you guys are, you also know it's about systems and supplier relationships and marketing and client management and so much more. And that's really good news, actually, because if it were easy, then everybody would do it, right? The complexity of this travel industry is what creates a lot of really great opportunity for you to stand out as a real, true professional. So today we are going to hopefully learn a little bit of some of your big takeaways of what it takes to see your business move past just kind of like a hobby stage by learning these 6 foundational skills that will set you up for a profitable and scalable travel business. And I'm hoping that you can start to see kind of how top producing travel professionals think about their work and think about their systems. And all of this is kind of woven into the 6 keys that we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we get to the keys, I really want to kind of set the scene here, right? So we really want to focus on our foundation. Your foundation of your travel business really determines your later scalability. And so what do I mean by that? I want you to think of your business kind of like a house, right? You wouldn't build a mansion on sand, right? A strong foundation is really what's going to get you to grow bigger and more profitable and really sustainable over time. That's a big piece here. So there's that sustainability. I don't want you guys burnt out from this, right? So a lot of travel professionals really jump into chasing clients or really piecing together systems, and then they feel really frustrated when things don't really hold up, right? So what we really want to try instead is for you to build with intention. I want you to build systems with clear boundaries and a business that fits your life, not the other way around, right? So we want you to build that business around what works for you in your regular day-to-day life. That way you can go the distance. It can be sustainable for you, and you're not going to get burnt out. And so ultimately, I want you to remember, because all of you guys watching today are going to be starting from different places. And so remember that this is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It's not a race. And so these big results do require some patience, and building your business around the life you want is really key to longevity in this industry. So that's what we're kind of focusing on, is really making sure that you set a foundation really well so that you can keep growing, right? And then the other part of this, like you heard me before say, I used to be a therapist. So mindset is a huge portion of our program and in general of being successful. Honestly, this is where a lot of travel advisors and travel professionals get stuck. Your belief in yourself really fuels your results. If you don't believe in your value, your clients are going to either. Nobody else is going to. And so consistently showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even showing up in just small ways every day compounds over time. So the more that you show up for yourself, the more people are going to see that. And growth also means leaving your comfort zone. And I know that can be really difficult. We love our little comfort zone. That's why it's called comfort zone. So maybe that is you hosting your first webinar or charging a booking fee or hiring help. Asking for help is really huge for everyone, I would say, but especially in this business, it's such a huge mindset block. It's really hard to ask for help. And so if you are willing and able to get past that uncomfortableness, you really get to start living with vulnerability. And that vulnerability is when you get innovation. It's when you get creativity and courage, and you can make big leaps happen. And that's when you're going to be able to have a successful business. So remember that you are also an average of the people you surround yourself with, right? So eagles fly with eagles. Think about who is in your circle. Who are you learning from? Who's lifting you up? Those relationships really matter a lot more than you might realize. And so all of this to say, we really want you to build this foundation and really set your mindset up for success, because as we're going to go into the 6 foundational keys here in a second, those are things we have to keep in mind. We want to have that strong foundation, including your mindset too, that you can believe that you can grow your business, right? All right, so let's get into it. So key number 1 is your business concept. So clarity really is, oh my goodness, sorry guys. I'll keep sharing as long as it'll let me. I'll keep sharing my screen. There we go. Hold on
one more time.
Yeah, one more time, I got it.
Here we go.
There you go. Okay, so clarity is everything in this business. If you really just start and don't really have a plan in place, you're gonna create a lot of chaos and you're gonna get lost. So what do you want your business to look like? What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? Do you have actionable goals, meaning that you have written out step-by-steps the actions that need to support that goal? Do you have someone to hold you accountable? Goal mapping and goal planning is really important. for this, because otherwise you are going to kind of start with no plan is going to create a lot of chaos for yourself, a lot of chaos in your mindset when you're frustrated, when things aren't going your way, and things just get really confusing, right? So you don't know what step to take next. Our other suggestion, part of this business concept, is knowing your niche. And so I know a lot of the times when we first start out, we want to take every client on, right? Like every single person that comes on, we want to plan their vacation for. But I really want you to think about who are your dream clients, the ones that if you could, you would just replicate over and over. Think about what kind of travel really lights you up. And the more specific you are, the easier it is to attract clients who do say yes. And I know that can be really scary at first. You might hear like saying no to a client doesn't always, like, that's uncomfortable, right? Especially saying no to clients who don't fit your niche. That feels a little counterintuitive to turn away business, especially if you're in the early days. But the truth is that when you're trying to serve everyone, you really serve no one. You're watering down your message and you're wasting valuable time. I'm sure there's a couple of you watching who have spent like hours and hours researching, building proposals, chasing clients down, only for them to ghost you, right? And then, or worse, maybe they take your plan and just do it themselves, right? And that's what happens when you just work with anybody and everybody. And you're not qualifying your clients and you're not picking clients that are really aligned with you and your expertise. If you're just saying yes to everybody, you let in a lot of people like that. And that's just like a big time wasters. We call them tire kickers over by us. We don't want to waste time with those tire kickers. So being clear on who exactly you are serving allows you to get laser focused in your marketing. You're going to be very clear in your messaging and very clear in your offers. You're going to spend less time convincing people that they want you, and you're going to spend more time converting them. And this also builds a lot of confidence, right? I myself, like when I've planned a trip and it's to someplace I haven't been, it's really frustrating, or it can be really confusing. It takes up a lot more time. It takes up a lot more energy, right? Then versus just like really sticking to what I know. And that builds my confidence. And like, I know this, I can answer these questions in my sleep, right? So you'll spend less time doing all of that kind of yucky time wasting stuff. And instead you're building your confidence in yourself. And then when your clients see you, and we'll talk about marketing a little bit later, when your clients see you and they can feel that you are directly speaking to them, they're going to trust you more quickly. And it's going to be way easier when they come to you for the first time to convert them, right? You're not convincing them because they already know who you are, right? So niching doesn't, and to be clear, I want to say that like niching down doesn't mean that you're never, ever going to book outside of your specialty, right? Like that's not exactly what this is saying, but it does mean that you're directing your energy where it makes the biggest impact and you're sticking with that. And that's what's going to create sustainability and profitability in the long run. And so ultimately that clarity gives you confidence, right? Like I said, I'm a big Disney fan. So planning a Disney trip is super easy to me. I know all of the ins and outs. It's very easy. Now tell me to go plan a trip to Austria, I'm not going to know as much, right? It's like having a compass really for you. You always know which direction you're heading, even when the industry is bound to throw a lot of curveballs. So that is your business concept, knowing your goals very, very well, and then knowing your niche and being very clear and being willing to say no to people if it doesn't fit either your niche, your specialty, or it's not the kind of client that you want to work with. I promise you it's gonna, you're gonna be able to focus more energy on the right kind of stuff. So let's go on to key number 2. So it's all about learning your craft. So kind of going off of that niche and that specialty is your expertise is what your clients are paying for, right? In fact, your knowledge pretty much directly dictates what your earning potential is going to be. Because guess what? Anybody can Google flights, right? Anybody can Google a hotel, but clients come to you because they want insider knowledge. And they want confidence that they're making the best decisions for the trip and for the process of planning a trip to be really fun. Like that's what they're paying for. So the more you know about destinations, about suppliers, about systems and best practices, the more value you are bringing to the table. Because what you need to do is you need to differentiate yourself from the real competition. And we always say that your competition is not other travel advisors. It's actually just online booking and DIY travel. That's your competition. So you have to ask yourself, why are clients going to work with you, right? That's what you have to answer for your clients. And that's done through a lot of marketing. Again, we'll get to that in a minute. And think about it from their perspective. That's a pretty fair question, right? It's like, if I can book this online, or I can at least book parts of this online, why should I come to you? What makes you really different from an online platform? And people are willing to pay for that service, right? They're willing to pay for a service that saves them time. And I'll get this up here again. Sorry, guys. Don't know why that keeps happening, but we'll keep it sharing. So they're willing to do it one more time. I can also try uploading the slides too. Let me try uploading the file really, really fast here, and maybe that will just be a little easier.
It's okay. It keeps things interesting. It reminds us all that tech does its own thing sometimes. The human touch is more important.
Exactly. I'm uploading the PDF though, so maybe that will be a little bit easier for us. It says it's processing. But as we're keeping going, so I want you guys to think about what really sets you apart. Like I said, people are willing to they're willing to pay for a service that saves them time, that reduces their stress, and provides expert guidance, right? So how are you going to position yourself as an expert, right? A true professional, not really a hobbyist. And so when you do that, your credibility, right, it goes up. And that correlates directly to your income, right? Because if people see you as a professional, they see you as a credible person who's going to save them time, who's going to add that value, they have expert guidance, they're going to be more likely to book with you, right? And so that correlates directly to your income. So how do you keep leveling up your expertise? You don't need to know everything at once, of course, right? Education is a lifelong. My mother used to always tell me, you know, education is the one thing people cannot take away from you, right? They can take away your car, they can take away your house, but they'll never be able to take away what you know. And so education is a lifelong thing to be involved in. And you don't need to know everything at once, but you do need to have a plan for consistent learning, right? So taking supplier trainings regularly, typically they're usually free, and sometimes they give you supplier perks. Attending webinars like you are today, and other industry events, in-person events to stay current on those trends. We want you to find mentors. It can be a really powerful experience that you can shadow or that you can learn from, that you can kind of talk with. You know, we don't do anything in a vacuum, right? We don't exist in a vacuum. And so because of that, you really need to reach out to people. Again, asking for help is hard, but asking people for opinions and, you know, what would you do if this, or who has information on this, is gonna do a lot for you. And then of course, certification or structured courses, if that makes sense for your path, you know, we want you to invest in those. And so we don't want you to just skim the surface. We want you to really dig deep, right? So if you are a hobbyist, you're just going to skim a blog, right? Like that's all the work you're going to do. But if you're a professional, you're going to really build on your mastery, right? And so when you position yourself as a true travel expert and not a hobbyist, your clients are going to treat you and they're going to pay you like one, right? So let's see. This keeps going. Okay, perfect. All right, so our next one is, and I see somebody mentioning Cyndi Williams. Yes, that is our founder of Careers on Vacation. I'll give you some of our like how to contact us at the end of this. But we do love Cyndi, we love her YouTube, but for sure. So number 3 is business development. So business development also includes your branding. And so I want you to know that your branding isn't just like logos and your colors. It's really about a promise that you're making to your clients. And I want you to think of it like that. This is going to be the first thing a lot of times people see from you. So it's how clients feel when they interact with you. When they see your post here, they see an email here, it's going to invoke certain feelings, right? So we want you to curate a brand identity that reflects your value and your style of service. And so I want you to kind of think about it. Again, everybody's going to have different specialties and niches, but if you want to attract luxury clients, but your emails are really inconsistent, your social posts maybe look a little rushed, or they're using like a bazillion and 5 colors, and maybe your proposals don't really look polished. I know like maybe you're just using like a Word document, or maybe you're just sending things directly from the supplier to and not polishing them up yourselves, but you have a luxury client. That creates a lot of disconnect, right? And your brand really has to align with the kind of clients that you want to serve. So what makes up some of that brand identity? It's going to be a mix of a lot of visuals, right? It's going to be your logo, your fonts, your colors, and more importantly, it's going to be your voice and your positioning, which we talked about earlier. So kind of that expert positioning that we just talked about in the previous slide kind of melds into this as well, because it affects your messaging and how you talk to your audience and what words are you using. That's part of your brand, right? So are you adventurous and fun? Are you more polished and sophisticated? Are you nurturing and family focused? And none of these are right? There is a right for you, but that's not going to be the same for everybody. So it really just has to be consistent and authentic to you, right? And so kind of looking at your things with a fresh glance. I know we are attached to our logos, we're attached to the stuff we make, but really try to look at it and get outsiders' opinions on what is it that you feel when you go to my Instagram, when you go to my Facebook, or when you receive this email. Like, what are the emotions that come up for you? And remember to give yourself grace to grow. Your brand does not have to be perfect on day one. I promise you, probably almost never is. And it evolves as you evolve, right? But we want you to take a look on it. So I know even Cyndi Williams, she owns the travel brand Tripsy Travel. She actually just recently went through her own like Tripsy Travel brand refresh. Like she did that herself just very recently. So again, sometimes like even the best, like Cyndi, will have time. I'll go back to trying to share again. It takes time to refresh those things, right? We need time to do that. And that comes with experience, right? Like you're going to send a couple of emails that feel good for you. And then maybe a year later, you look at it and you go, actually, like this doesn't really align with the kind of clientele that I want to be giving. So give yourself that grace to grow, give yourself permission to refine it and change things up as you go. Maybe you have started very broad. Maybe you were taking on every single client, right, underneath the sun from all over the world, but now you're really focusing on your niche and you want your branding and your logos to really represent your niche and your specialty. So maybe you started out really broad and now you want to do destination weddings, and maybe now you want to do group trips to Bali, whatever it is, that's okay, because you've learned, you've grown, and your branding should grow and evolve with you and should refine as you keep going. So the key here is to really keep showing up with intention. We talked about that at the beginning, is to really keep showing up intentionally and with clarity. So your audience knows exactly what to expect when they work from you. Like they know just looking at your website, they know, from that email, from your socials. So when they show up to maybe that first meeting with you, they already know what to expect from you when they choose to work from you. And so at the end of the day, really kind of think about how your brand is really your reputation. And clients know your promise. It kind of shows you what to expect from them. And when they are consistently experiencing that, so they experience it through your visuals, they experience it through your client care items they send you, through your proposals, when they're consistently experiencing the same branding consistency, you're building trust. They know what to expect from you. This all looks like it's cohesive. This all looks together. And so when you're building trust, that's what converts a lead into a loyal client, right? Is building that trust. And that's what's going to keep them coming back because they know what to expect from you. And so branding might seem like kind of like a side item, but we really stress upon, really making it a priority to get clear on who you're serving and what that looks like to people and making sure that you can show up consistently. All righty. So our next one is kind of a continuation. This is about marketing. So setting up a marketing machine. So marketing is, we always like to say, it's the lifeblood of your business. Without it, clients really cannot find you. So even the best travel expert can really go unnoticed if they're not really showing up in places that your clients are showing up. That's another reason why it's really important for you to know your niche and know your client, is because you know where they're going to show up, right? If you really typically serve older generations, maybe showing up on Instagram only isn't really going to be the best way. Maybe getting into their community, going to the 16 older communities, going to your community centers, like those are the places they're going to be. And that's where you kind of want to match and show up for them, right? So we want to make sure that you know your clients and your niche so that you can show up with them where your marketing is. Because if you're just sitting here, just like every once in a while, you have a Facebook post here, every once in a while, you have an Instagram story that disappears after 24 hours. That's a little bit more like survival techniques. That's not really like a strategy, right? So what you really need to think about and really invest in is a marketing machine. And that means it's a system that's kind of running consistently that keeps you visible. And just like we said, that's building trust, right? Just like your branding is building trust, your marketing is what builds your trust. So what does that kind of look like? So a marketing machine can be very layered. We try to start off with kind of like foundational things and then kind of layer other things on top of it. So of course you have your social media presence to stay visible. It's kind of like a proof of life too. A lot of people nowadays, they won't do business with somebody if they can't just like immediately pick up their phone and look them up on Instagram, right? If you're saying like, hey, whoever it may be, it could be somebody doing work on your house, you're hiring an event planner, like you're going to go to their Instagram, you're going to go to their social media and kind of make sure that they're like real and exist and that they're credible, right? So that's kind of like your baseline. Your email marketing, we want you to layer that on top of that. And that's to nurture those leads, right? And your website and your blog is really like your home base. So after that, you can add in referral programs, you can do networking, you can do live events, you can do webinars, set up, connecting with local businesses in your area, if that's who your clients is local, where maybe you're doing a spontaneous, wine event at your local wine spots where you're talking about Italy trips with them and you're hosting a little live event with them and coordinating with them. Again, we want you to show up where your clients are. So each of those pieces really connects together, and that's how you really create momentum with your marketing. And so what we know is that visibility really drives profitability. And so what that means is that the more often somebody sees you, the more likely they are to trust you. And what we call it here at Wanderlust Campus is your know, like, and trust factor. And so ultimately, the more they see you and the more they see, especially with your marketing, if you're giving them, good tips, if you're giving them great expert insight, right? We talked about your knowledge. Like this is where you're showing your knowledge. This is where you've done all your learning. Now let me show it off a little bit to you. Let me show you how much I know, right? So the more that they see you and they read these kinds of things, the more likely they are to trust you. And that means that they're more likely to book with you. And so that's why consistency is key, because if you keep showing up consistently, you got great branding, it looks all cohesive, you're showing up with expert information to share with your clients because you know your stuff, you've done the learning, and you're showing up to your ideal clients, you have niche down, you're speaking directly to a specific person. That's going to add up, right? All of that consistency is going to add up and they're going to be more likely to book with you. And so I know that really can sound overwhelming. I know marketing can be an overwhelming kind of facet of your business, but like I said, we do consider it your lifeblood, but of your business. But the good news is if you don't have to do it all by yourself, right? You can repurpose content across your platforms. We like to consider like a web kind of experience where you're posting it, maybe your blog here, but then you're referring back to your blog on your Instagram posts, on your Facebook posts. Maybe you make a big long YouTube video, like explaining all about Disney World. And then you have little clips that you can share on your Instagram and Facebook. So you can really repurpose a lot of your content. So you don't feel like you're starting from scratch all the time, which I know can be a little stressful. You can also schedule posts in advance. We like to teach a month to a quarter at a time. And then we like to schedule out as far as your platform will let you. And scheduling natively, don't use like poster systems for you because that puts you down in the algorithm. So repurposing, scheduling posts in advance, and then you can even outsource things that if this is just too stressful for you and you have the time and capacity to hire somebody, maybe like a virtual assistant or marketing person. I'm coming back up with my share screen. That allows you to focus on what you really like to do, which is focusing on your clients, right? That's the stuff that we want you to be able to focus on. Not if this is way too stressful for you. Some people love marketing and they love doing this stuff, but if it's not speaking to you, it might be time to start looking for somebody else to help. So kind of ask yourself, do I need to do DIY this, or would it be faster to outsource maybe this certain piece or these certain things? And so the point of all of this is really to treat your marketing like it's a system. It's part of the systems of your business, and it cannot be an afterthought, right? It works for you around the clock. It brings you leads while you're sleeping. When people are looking up YouTube videos, if you have YouTube videos, it's going to pull up. So you do it one time and it kind of works forever for you, even when you're sleeping. It will work for you if you have scheduled these posts in advance. If you have a quarterly marketing plan and you're scheduling these things in advance, it's running on solo, right? While you're traveling, while you're working with clients, while you're sleeping, sorry guys. Don't know why this keep happening. There we go. So we want you to really treat it like a true system, part of your business system. And because that's what turns your business into something that will later become more sustainable and more scalable. Alrighty, our next one, kind of to give you an idea of the math behind this, right? Because a lot of times we glaze over the numbers, or sometimes we're too scared to look at the numbers, right? But this is where your profitability can become kind of predictable a little bit. So let's say, for example, your average trip sale is $5,000 and you close 30% of your leads. Like, let's just say that those are your numbers. If you're only talking to 10 leads, that's about $1,500 in commission. But if you have 30 leads, because your marketing is reaching more people, maybe that jumps to $4,500. If you have 50 leads, that's $7,500 in commission. So you can see how just having a lot more leads, a lot more eyeballs on your stuff, eventually you're going to be closing. If you're still consistently closing at the same rate, that is money for you, right? So that's why marketing consistency really matters, because the more leads you generate, the more sales you close. That's just the math there, right? So when you know your numbers, and I know it can be really scary, like I said, to look at your numbers, but if you know your numbers, you can really scale with confidence instead of just guessing, instead of just saying like, I think this is going to work, or I think that this Facebook post or this campaign, this social campaign that we're running is working. But if you really look at the numbers, you will be able to get more eyeballs and get more sales. All right. Key number 5. So is operations and automations. And I will tell you guys, I am a organizational queen. Like, that is one of my specialties. I love keeping things organized and running things smoothly and running in the background. And this is the stuff that takes a little time to set up. But once you do, this is going to open you up to so much more scalability, and it's going to stress you out a lot more. And like I said, we want it to be sustainable for you. It's about operations and automations. So I know this might not sound like operations is not like the most glamorous thing to talk about, but it is what's going to free you up to do the work that you really love to do. So I want you to instead kind of like shift that mindset about systems and operations and think of systems creates freedom, right? The way you run your business behind the scenes determines whether you scale with ease or you're just going to get stuck in all of that and all of the chaos. So I want you to kind of think about all the things you have to do when you are bringing on a client and booking a trip with them. So without a strong workflow or a strong system or a structured system, your new lead, every time you're going to feel like you're starting from scratch. Like every single time, it's like starting from the beginning, which can be really hard. You're scrambling maybe to respond to emails. Maybe you're chasing down paperwork. Maybe you're keeping everything in your head. I find that is one of the hardest things is like keeping deadlines in your head or just like, oh, I know I have to respond to this or now I have to do this and not like having it in like physical, either on your computer or like, which I love a good checklist. But all of that in your head is going to be very, very stressful, right? But when you set up a system, a really simple, repeatable system, right? You free yourself up to doing the fun parts, which is really serving your clients, planning the trips, and really growing your income. That's kind of the more fun stuff to do instead of all this kind of like little busy work. So what does this look like in practice? I see we have some people say this is definitely my weakness. Absolutely. This is hard stuff. And it's hard because you also don't know what you don't know. So you don't know like what are the exact steps I need to do to take care of somebody. And then the next time you do it, you're like, well, what did I do last time? Right? Like, what did I do the time before? Or this trip is a little different. So how does that change? It can be a little difficult. So this means creating standard operating procedures, or SOPs for short, for your entire client journey. So from their first inquiry to their consultation, from their proposal to their booking, those final documents to even their post-trip follow-up. How are you following up with them? You want every single step mapped out for you. And not only does this make your services consistent, right? And makes it easier for you to delegate and automate them down the road. So one day when you are ready, because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to build a foundation that is super solid so that when you are ready to scale, when you are ready to get bigger or hire on my people, it's a lot easier, right? So let's talk about automation. This is where technology becomes really your business partner. We are constantly looking at different ways that we can get technology on our side, have tech stacks for us. You can, for example, you can set up email sequences that welcome new leads, payment reminders that go out automatically. I know I have one of my writers, we were talking about, she sells a lot of Disney travel. And she's like, it's so like, as soon as I like know what the trip is, like, boom, I don't even have to touch it. Like it just immediately sends them all the stuff. Like I just have this beautiful, like automated workflow. I don't even really have to look at it until I personally want to like personally check in with them. And right when you are able to personally check in with them, that means that you're getting better service, right? Like you can focus on more of that like personality and personable stuff rather than all these like little tiny things. So I want you to imagine kind of a time. I'll try and share again. Let's see. I want you to kind of imagine what it kind of would be like if you are able to, you don't have to manually send, thanks for booking this, or remember, this is your final payment reminder, or remembering to send up that follow-up for a review, things like that. It's all those like little tiny things. I want you to imagine like you don't have to do any of that. Like as soon as you set it up and you set it up well, it kind of runs automatically. It's all happening essentially while you sleep. And the key here is balance, right? So automations, like I said before, like you get to focus on more of the personality stuff, right? So automations can handle those repetitive tasks, but they can't replace that human touch that you offer, right? You can still show up personally when it counts. So that would be like in your consult calls and your personalized recommendations, building relationships. Like that's the fun stuff you get to do, and you can't replace that. But that is, in my opinion, that's more of the fun stuff that we want to do. And you kind of get to put those other kind of repetitive things, off to the side. You don't have to think about that. So ultimately, we know when you're strong, when your operations are strong and your automations are smart, you're going to feel lighter. Your mindset's going to be a little clearer. You're going to feel less stress, and you're going to feel way more in control, right? And part of that strong operations is tracking your KPIs, your key performance indicators. So these are the numbers that tell you how your business is actually performing. And so if you're just kind of guessing in the dark right now, you might be wasting a lot of time. Like, let's say, so these are things like beyond maybe just your sales. Let me back up. So these are things like your marketing spends, your cost per inquiry. So like, how much am I actually spending on my marketing, and how many leads is that bringing in, and how many of those am I actually converting, right? If you're spending all of your money on, I'm just making something up, but if you're spending all your money on like this Instagram campaign and like putting all this out there, but those aren't closing anything, then you need to rework your system, right? Like, you need to know, like, okay, well, where is my marketing working best? Oh, it's actually at live events. Like, maybe I need to invest more in some live events and spend a little less on these other areas, right? It could be like your quote to booking ratio, your average booking value. So how much is your average vacation costing, or how many clients are coming back and referring to you. So when you are tracking those things consistently, you're not basing things off of feelings. And I think that's the danger that we get in sometimes, is we go, well, I feel like my Instagram ads are working, or I feel like my Facebook ads or my Google ads are working. But we don't want to go based off feelings. We want to go based off of facts, and we want to go based off of numbers. And that's part of your operations strategy, is looking at your KPIs. So if you don't even know what KPIs to look for, that's something to, start learning a little bit more about, because that's when you're able to really fine tune your operations a little bit and where you need to adjust things. And so again, at the beginning of this, I said, systems are not like the fanciest thing to talk, or not fanciest, the most exciting, luxurious thing to talk about. But I want you to think of them as freedom. Systems don't really box you in. They allow you to create freedom. The freedom to grow, the freedom to scale, and the freedom, what we like to say, is to step into your CEO role of the business instead of being stuck doing the busy work. We want you to focus on being the CEO of your company, and creating a strong operations and automations is kind of one of the ways to do that. Alrighty. All right, and our last key here is about scaling. And this is the exciting part, right? It's about building beyond today and really stepping into a bigger vision for your business. I love hearing what people's goals and what they're inspired by and what they want to see their business turn into. So I want you to think of scaling not just as more, right? And it's what we kind of talked about at the beginning, which is growing in a way that's sustainable, that's profitable, and doesn't burn you out. That's all a part of scaling. So what does scaling look like for a travel professional? It could mean hiring a support staff or an IC, so you're not doing it all alone. It can mean building a recurring business model, like launching maybe group trips that sell out every year. Maybe you have like a specialty one that like always does really well, and you want to make this like this key thing that, is kind of on repeat, because you don't got to keep replanning it. That's just all the details, right? Like, it's always consistent. Or maybe you're creating a membership service. And I know those are getting a little bit more popular now, or a concierge service, or designing packages where the clients are really coming back to you and again, instead of starting from scratch every time with your trips. You're really kind of positioning yourself to kind of just like keep doing the same things. It also might mean investing in better tech. It also might mean investing in marketing support. So your time, once again, is freed up. So you can focus on strategy and client relationships. It also might mean investing in your advanced learning so that you can skip some of the headaches and really build a strong foundation. I'll try and get my screen up again, but that should be relatively the last slide here. I think I have one more, so if we can't get back up, it'll be fine. So it might be about investing in some of that learning or certification, because when we're building correctly, from the first step, it's a lot easier. You kind of skip some of those headache things. So remember, kind of kind of when we talk about scaling, if you don't have these foundational systems set up in place yet, you can't scale chaos, right? So if your operations isn't set up, if your marketing isn't consistent yet, then scaling is only really going to magnify those problems, right? So if you really take the work to lay out your foundation, you have your goals, you have clarity, you know who your ideal client is, your marketing is strong, your operations are strong, your automations are set up, then scaling really becomes limitless. It's a lot easier. But if you don't have those things set up, like I said, it's just going to magnify that chaos and get super overwhelming. So just know that scaling doesn't have to look the same for everyone. I know some people who are like totally just like want to keep working with themselves, or maybe their significant other, they don't want to have ICs. Again, scaling can look different for everyone. So it might mean doubling your sales with the same number of clients simply by booking higher value trips, right? More expensive trips. For other people, it could be building that team, right, to serve more clients, but you're not serving more hours, right, to your week. And maybe for another one of you, it's just designing that really signature group experience that sells out year after year. So the big takeaway here is that scaling is about choice. It's about designing a business that grows in the direction that you want and at the pace that you want, while giving you a lot more freedom, not less, right? And when you can really build intentionally, like you know exactly what your goals are, you know exactly what you're doing, you're looking at the numbers, that's when you can really grow without limits. And it's really on your terms instead. And so I know scaling and growth can sound a little scary, but it doesn't have to mean burnout. It really just means smarter structures that support your vision. So right here. So as you can see, building a profitable travel business isn't luck. It really isn't. It is hard work. But it's systems, clarity, and it is mindset. And so if you commit to those 6 keys, you not only are going to be able to increase your income, you're going to really build a business, which is really important for us, that supports your life and not the other way around. You're not working, you're not putting your life around your business. The business should be around your life. And so Wanderlust Campus, this is exactly what we help travel professionals do every day. So if any of this spoke to you, you can stay connected with us for more tools and training. Most importantly, take what you learned today and start putting it into practice. And I promise you your future business will thank you. So you can visit travelschool.com. We also are on socials. I know somebody had mentioned that they see Cyndi's YouTubes a lot. So that's definitely a thing there on all of our platforms. And I will go ahead and stop sharing for a minute here. Perfect. All right. Yeah, so you can always find us there. We also have done a lot of upgrades to our student dashboard where you can get a free dashboard now, and it has a lot of free resources and education for you guys. So even if our certification programs aren't for you, check out kind of some of the free offerings that we have. There's a lot of fun stuff available for you. Hello.
Hi. So we only had to reshare about 5, 6.
Yeah,
but
okay.
It worked. You were quick to the. I was impressed.
Yes, I do. I do a lot of stuff. I'm usually, like I said, I'm you behind the scenes usually. So I'm usually the one like immediately like share again, like fix this, fix that. So I appreciate you guys sticking through it all.
Oh, are you kidding me? I appreciate you. So we do have a few questions from the audience. If you, we have about 10 minutes, so we've got some time. So everyone stick around. Lots of commentary as well. Thank you so much to everyone for really participating. And before I get into the questions, I do want to mention that Wanderlust Campus will be hosting one of our panel sessions during Hardwired, which is our week. We're doing this in about a month, which is our week of focusing on travel advisor technology. So at the end of day 2, which is October 15th, so we'll run from the 14th to the 17th. On the end of day 2, we end every day with a panel session, and either Cyndi or more of the team, which we hope the more the better, we love, that you are all hosting a panel specifically on kind of, I think it was point number 5, where it's more around automations and tech stacking. So you can absolutely register. For everyone in the comments, registration is absolutely complimentary for you all. So there is absolutely no cost to this. You can watch it on the same platform that you're watching this right now. So highly recommend you go register, check it out. I believe the panel will be starting at 2:10 Central Time on the 15th. So just going to throw that out there. But you ready for some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you again. What a wonderful, wonderful webinar. So I've got quite a few questions from Julie. Love you, Julie. This is great. Sorry, they're on my other screen. So if you see me looking over. So do you have suggestions for creating useful resources to position yourself for success? So for example, a library with key information about various cruise ships to help you guide your clients.
Yeah, so we have a sister company called Wanderlust Social. And so Wanderlust Social is kind of like our done for you marketing that you can use. And a lot of that includes a lot of resources that you kind of repurpose. So what we usually recommend is, there's things like fact sheets in there. There's itineraries in there for our specialty ones. There's blogs in there, things like that, that really showcase your expertise. We always recommend putting it in your own brand voice as well. I saw somebody say that like AI can help you with some of this tech automation stuff. And absolutely, that's what we recommend with Wanderlust Social too, is being able to put it out there. But you're right, like where do you put it so people can actively see you? And that's where your marketing comes into play. That's where, having a really well-designed website where you can post some of these things. Are you posting these things to your Instagram? Are you sending them out in emails? Can people come find your YouTube? Really always leading back to like your hub is definitely the way to go. So I definitely recommend having those go-to we call them like client care items that you like consistently have that showcase how much of an expert you are. And you can show them. You can also give it to your clients during the booking process. I know we talk to students a lot about making, if you find that routine, like the same questions are popping up over and over for you, like that's a great time to like make a video about it. The more people see your face, the more they're gonna grow your know, like, and trust factor, which we talked about. So the more that, like, let's say I use Disney, for example, just because I know Disney a lot. Like if you're getting so many questions about the lightning lane and multi-pass, like that's a great time to like make a video all about that you can like consistently give your clients and put that in your workflow. Like, hey, whenever we're 6 weeks out from the trip, they're always going to get this video, or vice versa. You can post that video on your YouTube and then share clips of it on your marketing. So there's lots of different ways to show your expertise, but definitely like starting to collect your expertise, like in that physical form, whether it be video, blogs, like starting to collect that is a process that takes time, but well worth the effort, I would say.
I completely agree. I also want to put out there that there are libraries like this that do exist out there. Some are available to you absolutely free of charge. Some do have a cost. But like, let's say, Julie, you do sell a lot of cruise. I know that there are a lot of cruise libraries out there that do exist. So definitely take a look for those things. And I think, Ryan, for me, you touched on something really great, is building it into your workflow, right? Yeah. So making sure that, okay, like 6 weeks out, I mean, I think my content manager and I actually just went through our workflow for our email sends, right? Mm-hmm. When things happen automatically, or when something happens, when this action happens, right? Mm-hmm. It takes time at the beginning, but it's that, what's that saying, that short-term pain for that long-term gain.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I would say like we have so many limitless resources out there, but making sure when you're using, like if you're sending those to clients or you're posting kind of like your own library of sorts, make sure it sounds like you, right? So people, get 5 billion emails a day. And if you're just sending them things directly from suppliers and you don't have any personal touch with them, you're not building your know, like, and trust factor. You're not really speaking to your ideal client. So making sure that like if you are taking information and building kind of your own resources, making sure that it sounds like you and it feels like you, because that's how people are going to get to know you. And that's how they're going to want to book with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of to touch on, Lane just posted something that she uses Branch Up. And Branch Up is a wonderful, wonderful company. I've worked with them in the past. But it may be about taking what they give you and, like Ryan, like you just said, adding a bit of a personal flair to it. kind of your own voice, but taking the base of the content and just adjusting it so it's your tone of voice, right? Like I think we all know Steph Lee and her tone of voice here at HAR. It's special, it's fun, it's professional, but it's funny, it's real. You're talking to a real person, and so changing it to be your tone of voice, but taking the content, which sometimes can be the toughest part, you already have that content for you.
Especially if you can get that base down, and just like you get to add the little kind of like fun flourishes, that's great. I know my marketing person, Kelly, she would kill me if I didn't mention that making sure that you're posting natively to your marketing channels as often as you can. Instagram doesn't like other things posting for you, so that you will probably get a little more lost in the Instagram. So, or in the algorithm, I mean to say. So if branch up isn't working for you, you might consider like starting to schedule natively from, I think it's called like Meta Business Suite is what it is. So that might also be a suggestion for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things to think about with social. So don't get overwhelmed with it. Do what you can when you can. But there's so many pieces to the puzzle, and they do change. So it's okay. It's,
and like you said, with marketing, it's a layered process. And we like to say that social media is just kind of like your proof of life. So like people will go there to check to make sure like you exist, you're real, you're not a scam, you're not anything. But like you really shouldn't just be focusing just on social media. You should be layering in other marketing strategies as well.
Completely agree. Okay, I have, more questions. Lane, you know what? It is overwhelming, and it's okay. I think, just kind of, Ryan, you kind of point out, like, make sure it's alive and well, but don't put all of your eggs into that one basket. But Lane, it's overwhelming for us too. So I totally get it. Okay. Another question that we have is, how, I don't know if we have an article around this, which I'll have Abby post, but how do you decide on a niche? Because you talked about niches a little bit and picking one.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of one of our most fun parts of our program, is we have a whole module devoted to like identifying your niche and your ideal clients. And it really is just kind of digging deep. I do think sometimes you need to make those mistakes a little bit of like, hey, I tried to plan a trip for some place I have no idea, or this was not fun for me. You kind of have to have that experience to be like, okay, I don't want to do that again. I really want to focus on what I know, what I love, and what I'm very comfortable in. And then, of course, we want to grow from that, later on if you can. But I think just starting with that, start with just like, what do you know? Where have you been? That's a really good place to start thinking about what do you book, that when somebody comes in and you see that in your email, like, I want to book a trip to Walt Disney World for me. I'd be like, yes, like that's the one I want to book, right? Like if you're feeling like, yes, this is going to be easier, just start with that. I know saying no is hard. It's what we talk a lot about in our mindset classes, like saying no to potential clients can be hard, but if it will end up being in the better for you long run, because you're not wasting your time with people who don't take your services seriously. And I do, Shayna, have a little handout that I can share in the link. I can share it to you privately, and you can share with people. It just has a recap of the 6. I'll share that with
you. And also, Kim, thank you, Steve, and Privata Travel. Hopefully I said that correctly, for sharing with Kim. But Kim, you can rewatch this. This webinar will live on YouTube. So you can always go back into our YouTube channel if there is anything that you want to rewatch. But I'm going to share this PDF, Ryan. Thank you so much.
So I'll just give you like a quick little, it's just like a 1-pager of the 6 keys that we talked about today.
There we go.
Yes, if you just copy and paste that, you should get right to that PDF.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. That is super, super helpful. And yes, I am very much so of picking a niche. And thank you, Abby, for linking the article. I think niches for me, like my niche would be adventure travel, because that's what I enjoy. That's what I've experienced. And so I would sell it without selling it, right? Because I understand it. I know how it works, but I also enjoy it myself.
Yeah, that shines through, right? Like you say adventure travel and you smile, like you just like, that's exciting. You hear me talk about Disney and I'm excited about it. Like that's what's going to
happen. Did you think you were going to talk about Disney this much?
I always weasel it in somehow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But yes, I am I think being a generalist in the industry, you'll even find from our annual report, very few advisors are actually generalists. And from last year, our annual report, we found that 93% of travel advisors would pick their exact same niche again. So really having an 85% of advisors had a niche. And we had last year, we had over 2,000 advisors respond to our annual survey. So that it's quite a nice number to like, niches are definitely the way to go, but make it something that you're interested in and that you enjoy, or that you have a lot of friends and potential clients that enjoy that style.
It can be more than just a destination too. So like
Yeah.
Disney's obviously a big one, but like, are you working with like stressed out moms who don't have the time to do this? Or are you doing accessible travel, people who need that accessible help while visiting Disney? So there's lots of different ways you can even get a little bit more, the more you speak to them, you're speaking, like the person who's reading it on the other side and be like, that's me. Like, I want to use this service, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is all the time we have today. But if anyone has any other questions, Abby posts the link to Wanderlust Campus in the comments. Please feel free to reach out to them directly. They will be happy to answer any additional questions that you have. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Ryan, thank you. This was an absolute treat. And we will be back. We've got some webinars coming up in the next few weeks. So check in on the schedule. Do not forget to join. And anyone who was here with us last week, we have rescheduled that webinar with Uniglobe Travel Center in April for October 29th. So she will be back. And we will see you back here again in a couple weeks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.